Welcome to the Search the Scriptures podcast, where we dive into Scripture and provide the explanation of it in the most accurate light that we can. Search the Scriptures is a podcast that is dedicated primarily to the Christian, challenging our brothers and sisters along with ourselves to see if we have set aside the commands of God to set up our own traditions. To do this, we use Scripture to explain Scripture. Please join us on this journey. All right, so we are in Genesis chapter 42, and let's jump right on into this. Go to the next slide, Mary Bay. So Genesis chapter 42, verses 1 through 4 says, when Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you keep looking at each other? Listen, he went on, I've heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us so that we will live and not die. So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he thought something might happen to him. So now we have the 7 years of famine is starting to hit. And it's not just in Egypt, it's in all the land. So all the land is feeling the effects of this, and it's reaching up to where Jacob and his sons are staying. And so he says that he hears about this grain in Egypt. He says he sends his sons down there to go and buy some. So it's taking a toll, but he's unwilling to send his youngest son. So remember that the last time that Jacob sent his youngest son after his older sons, he didn't come home. So remember, that was Joseph at the time. So he sent Joseph. He believes Joseph is dead. Questions or comments before we go further? All right, the next one, Mary Berry. So Genesis chapter 42, verses 5 through 9 says, the sons of Israel were among those who came to buy grain, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Joseph was in charge of the country. He sold grain to all its people. His brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan to buy food, they replied. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered his dreams about them and said to them, you are spies. You have come to see the weakness of the land. So we have here, these brothers are showing up here, and they see Joseph, but they don't know that that's their brother. Remember, Joseph was pretty young at the time. So they see Joseph. He's over 30 at this point, probably almost 40 at this point, and he's in command. They don't know it's him, and they're bowing down to him, just like the dream that he had. Questions or comments on this before we go forward? Let's take a look at a little bit back what we learned earlier. Let's go to the next slide, Mary Berry. So Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 through 8 says, then Joseph had a dream. When he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, listen to this dream I had. There we were, binding sheaves of grain in the field. Suddenly my sheaf stood up, and your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf. Are you really going to reign over us? His brothers asked him. Are you really going to rule us? So they hated him even more because of his dream and what he had said. So remember, this is the dream. This is one of the dreams that he had, that he told to his brothers, and they hated him for it. I do find it interesting that, for one, we see it happening now. They show up and they're bowing down to him. Two, I do find it interesting that in this dream that he was having, it did have something to do with grain. That it says they were binding sheaves of grain. It says and then their grain stood up and bowed down to his. Just so happens that's the very reason that they're in Egypt, to buy grain from Joseph. Questions or comments on this so far? All right, Mary Berry, next one. So Genesis chapter 42, verses 10 through 17 says, "No, my Lord, your servants have come to buy food." They said, "We are all sons of one man. We are honest. Your servants are not spies." "No," he said to them, "you have come to see the weakness of the land." But they replied, "We, your servants, were 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no longer living." Then Joseph said to them, "I have spoken. You are spies. This is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one from among you to get your brother. The rest of you will be imprisoned so that your words can be tested to see if they are true. If they are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." So Joseph imprisoned them together for 3 days. So we have here, while Joseph is questioning his brothers, and in the process of him questioning his brothers, he finds out that he has a younger brother. He didn't know. Remember, he didn't know he had a younger brother at this point. So he finds out he has a younger brother born to his father. But what this brother was born to his father, and for whatever reason, he doesn't know. But this brother's not with them, and they're claiming that the brother is back with their father. And so remember that Joseph was he was first going to be killed by his brothers, and ultimately he was sold into slavery by his brothers. And so it looks like this is kind of a way for him to verify that they hadn't done any harm to his younger brother Benjamin. Questions or comments on this so far? What you got, G White?
All right. So Joseph's father is Jacob, correct?
That's correct.
Who is this mystery woman?
What do you mean?
Where'd this baby come from? Who's his mama?
From Joseph's mother.
Oh, he. How do you not know that?
What do you mean?
How do you not know your own mother and your
Because he
same
was
father?
sold before the baby was born.
Oh,
He was sold before she got
oh, so
pregnant.
he's just been running doing his own thing. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. This is all new news. Okay,
What
got
you
it.
got, Veronica? Veronica, you're muted if you're speaking.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So you said he wanted to make sure they hadn't done nothing to the younger brother. Is that your assumption, or you're saying that's why he wanted the younger brother?
That is my assumption.
Oh,
That is my
gotcha.
assumption. It just now
Yeah.
again, we're not told why he did this, why he's being so harsh to him, but he
Mm-hmm.
was not going to let them go until they brought till they brought Benjamin to him and he could actually see him.
Right. I just thought, yeah, I thought that makes a good assumption. Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, and again, like I said, we're not told specifically, explicitly why he did this, but that's exactly what it seems like. Because remember, the last he knew of his brothers, they sold him into slavery. And so, and then they're standing before him saying, we're honest people." And he's like, "No, you're not." So yeah, great questions and comments. Let's go to the next one, Mary Berry. So Genesis chapter 42, verses 18 through 20 says, "On the third day, Joseph said to them, 'I fear God. Do this and you will live. If you are honest, let one of you be confined to the guardhouse, while the rest of you go and take grain to relieve the hunger of your households. Bring your youngest brother to me so that your words can be confirmed. Then you won't die.' And they consented to this." So this kind of gives you a reasoning behind me saying this. He is saying at least here that I want to confirm that what you're saying is true by you actually bringing your brother to me, bringing him to, and I want to see him, right? So, but he tries to comfort him. He reassures him by saying that he fears God, in that he's not going to turn back on what he's saying. You will be fine. You will surely live, but you must do this. You have to return with Benjamin. Questions or comments on this? What you got, G White?
Um, I don't know. I kind of see like he wasn't confiding him. It's like it was an either or. He gave him an ultimatum. You either bring him or you're dead. That's where I got it. Bring your
Yeah.
brother, and then you won't die. Like, so I guess the first option is I'm gonna die, which they
No,
should.
well,
I can see how you want to kill your brothers after something like that.
no, he's not saying he's going to kill them. They're just going to die from starvation because the famine is there.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's saying if you do this, you're not going to die. You'll be able to trade with us. You'll be able to buy grain. But if
oh, so
not,
he's
you're going
not
to
gonna
die.
feed you. He's gonna starve you out. So he would starve
Yeah,
him out. Oh,
yeah, because there's no food anywhere else in that whole entire land.
oh, that's called a quid pro quo.
Yeah. So
All
yeah,
right.
so he's straight up testing them. And again, like I say, he has good reason. I feel. Yeah, great comment on that. All right, Mary, let's go to the next one. So Genesis chapter 42, verses 21 through 26 says, then they said to each other, obviously, we are being punished for what we did to our brother. We saw his deep distress when he pleaded with us, but we would not listen. That is why this trouble has come to us. But Reuben replied, didn't I tell you not to harm the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must account for his blood. They did not realize that Joseph understood them, since there was an interpreter between them. He turned away from them and wept. Then he turned back and spoke to them. He took Simeon from them and had him bound before their eyes. Joseph then gave orders to fill their containers with grain, return each man's money to his sack, and give them provisions for their journey. This order was carried out. They loaded the grain on their donkeys and left there. So we see here Joseph's brothers, they're believing that God himself is doing this to them. They're being punished because of what they did to their brother. Specifically, they're saying that they didn't have mercy on him. They didn't have mercy on their brother. So that he was crying for help and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do anything about it. They ignored it. They wouldn't listen to him. Reuben, remember, actually wanted to save him. And so that's why he says this here. He said, I told you not to harm him, because he was actually going to bring him back to his father. But they ended up selling him in the process into slavery. So they truly believe that they're being punished because they didn't show mercy. Questions or comments on this so far?
Yeah, I'm not for sure. I don't know if I just missed it. Why did he fill their containers? What was the point of telling them they're gonna starve out and then give them something?
Because what they had was enough this is going to be enough to keep them forever. They're going to eventually run out of that. So when they bring that back, they're going to be able to live off of that for probably a few months, but then they're going to run out of that.
Mm.
And he knew that you got to understand. So he already knew this is the beginning of the famine. He knew that it was going to be 7 years. So it wouldn't. So they were going to run out.
Mm. How did they forget the interpreter was there? I'm kind of confused on that part.
So the thing is, the interpreter was there, and they were speaking amongst each other, and they knew the interpreter. It wasn't that the interpreter was telling Joseph what they said; it's that Joseph knew what they were saying. Joseph wasn't talking to them in their language; he was speaking to them in Egyptian language.
Mm.
So he wasn't speaking to them in their native tongue that they're used to, even though he still knew it. So because of that, they had no idea that he could understand what they were saying.
Got it.
Great comments on their questions too. All right, so yeah, so I was basically saying that yeah, they should have shown mercy to their own brother. They should have shown love to their brother. They didn't do it. So we're gonna look at a couple of different scriptures that say just that. Mary, let's go to the next one. So Matthew chapter 12, verse 7, this is coming from Jesus, and he says, if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent. This is exactly what they did to Joseph. He was innocent, and they condemned him into slavery. They sent him off into slavery. They did not show mercy to him. Questions or comments on this so far? All right, one more, Mary Berry. So Mark chapter 12, verses 29 through 31 says, this is the most important. Jesus answered, listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other command greater than these. So these are the two things that they lacked for their own brother. They lacked love and they lacked mercy. Questions or comments? All right, let's get to the next one, Mary Berry. So Genesis chapter 42, verses 27 through 37 says, at the place where they lodged for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his money there at the top of the bag. He said to his brothers, my money has been returned. It's here in my bag. Their hearts sank. Trembling, they turned to one another and said, what is this that God has done to us? When they reached their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. The man who is the Lord of the country spoke harshly to us and accused us of spying on the country. But we told him, we are honest and not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of the same father. One is no longer living, and the youngest is now with our father in the land of Canaan. The man who is the Lord of the country said to us, this is how I will know if you are honest. Leave one brother with me. Take food to relieve the hunger of your households and go. Bring back your youngest brother to me, and I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. I will then give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the country. And they began emptying their sacks. There in each man's sack was his bag of money. When they and their father saw their bags of money, they were afraid. Their father Jacob said to them, you have deprived me of my sons. Joseph is gone, and Simeon is gone. Now you want to take Benjamin. Everything happens to me. Then Reuben said to his father, you can kill my two sons if I don't bring him back to you. Put him in my care, and I will return him to you. So a lot is happening here. They take off, and they find out once they're on their way, they find out that the silver that they were just supposed to use to purchase this grain was returned back to one of them. And then they found out it was returned back to all of them. They all got their money back. And so it scared them. It almost looked like they stole it. They got the food for free or stole it. And they just got to trying to convince the man that was there, we're honest men. This was actually a provision from their brother Joseph. So when good is done to those who do not deserve it, even that good can harm them. So you can see Joseph actually did good to them. And because of their conscience, they are hurting over this. They don't know what's about to happen. They're hurting over this. Questions or comments so far? What you got, G White?
There we go. My question is, I just feel like we just read this. They keep selling brothers. Is that what they're doing?
So one brother had to stay behind. Simeon, Joseph said, you got to keep one brother here.
Joseph sent him to go leave a brother here and go bring me back the youngest brother, correct?
That's right.
They just ran to another guy who said, leave a brother with me too?
No, they're back with their father now. So they're back with their father, and they're explaining to their father what happened. And they're like, hey, he's saying that he's requesting Benjamin, or we're not going to get Simeon back. Nor will we be able to trade in the land.
Okay, this is the full scope when the father gets the information.
Yeah, and so he's upset because he said, I already lost Joseph. Now Simeon's gone. He's locked in prison, and now you want to take away Benjamin.
And he didn't say no, did he?
We're about to find out. What you got, Veronica? Did you have something to say?
Yeah, so Reuben, I mean, he's competent here. He's the same one who didn't want them to sell Joseph, right?
That's correct.
So why do you feel here he was really competent? Did he just want to comfort the dad, or something made him feel like this guy was honest?
Well, I don't think that they think that the guy was back then. I don't think that it was a common thing to really lie. So I don't think that crossed their minds that this guy is just trying to set us up, But they were also at a bad crossing point. I mean, they were if they something had to happen, or they're all going to die. I mean, the famine was that severe. So if nothing happened, every last one of them were going to die. And so yeah, that's where his I would say part of, this is just my opinion, part of his boldness comes from that. Also from trying to make right, from him understanding what they did was wrong.
And
And
also, is he the oldest?
he is the oldest.
Got it.
Yeah, he is the oldest. Also, he's messed up. I mean, he messed up not just then, but afterwards. I don't know that he knows his father knows about it, but he ended up sleeping with his father's one of his father's concubines, or yeah, one of his father's concubines, who ends up, of course, I can't remember who she ends up giving birth to, but so he already messed up, and it didn't say. I don't know if he knows it yet. Later on, we find out for certain that he knows, but because when it happened, not Joseph, Jacob finds out about it, but he doesn't say anything. But later on, he will. Actually, on his deathbed, he will.
Right, I remember the deathbed part.
Yeah. What you got, G White?
Now, who slept with the concubine? Because I remember us talking about this.
That was Reuben. Reuben, the oldest of his of Jacob's sons.
But you said I kind of feel like Reuben doing this. Like, you said he messed up, but like, what did he do wrong?
By sleeping with his father's concubine?
Is that his wife?
Basically, yes.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't quite know the rules back then. Never
Oh
mind.
yeah, the rules is you absolutely
don't
don't go
quite know.
behind your. Yeah, you absolutely do not go behind your father. That is
Oh,
for
those rules
real.
still
For
apply.
real.
Those rules still apply.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't do that. And so,
Okay, I guess I didn't look at it that way. Like, yeah, those same rules apply. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I'm tripping.
And so, like I say, Jacob knew about it, but he didn't say anything. So I don't know. We're not told if at this point Reuben knows that, but I'm just guessing he probably feels some guiltiness from this, from all the stuff, including probably that too. I could be wrong though, but yeah, we'll find out here in a little bit. Not today, but the next several chapters is gonna come up. But yeah, some great comments and questions on this. So he says this, and again, remember I was saying that this was actually Joseph doing good to them, but their conscience is so guilt stricken that it hurts them. And so that's actually a scripture. So let's go to the next one, Mary Berry. So Romans chapter 12, verse 20 says, but if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For in so doing, you will be heaping fiery coals on his head. This is what scripture tells us, that we are to do good to our enemies. And that's what I mean by that guilt stricken messes with people afterwards. Questions or comments on this? What you got, G White?
Yeah, this guilt stricken. I don't know that I've ever seen it.
Then you're blessed.
Well, yeah, thank you. Made me smile. Maybe blush. Maybe blush there. Thank you.
But yeah, so you're saying you never had someone that you just disliked. You did not like that
and they
person.
changed. And they
changed.
changed.
No, just for whatever. Maybe you just don't even know why. You just don't like that person. You just feel like, I got this person picked out. I know exactly what kind of person this is, and they end up doing something nice for you.
Oh, I thought it. Yeah,
that feeling.
Oh yeah, that just kind of changed. That wasn't guilt, but for so heaping fiery coals, and I don't remember the heaping coals. It was just to close the bridge. I don't remember just feeling guilty.
Oh well, yeah, I felt guilty when I've done things like that. So yeah, Mary Bear, let's go to that next one. We're about to bring it home. Genesis chapter 42, verse 38 says, but Jacob answered, my son will not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he alone is left. If anything happens to him on your journey, you'll bring my gray hairs down to Sheol in sorrow. So when G White asked earlier, does he let him go? He is saying here, no, he's not going. He's not going to go with you guys, because because his brother, his being Joseph, is dead, and that he's the only one left. When he says that, that means he's the only one from that mother that is left. And so yeah, that's what so he tells him that. He says, you know, he's not going to go, because if something were to happen to him, then I'm going to go down into the realm of the dead, Sheol, in sorrow and sadness. Questions or comments on this so far? What you got, G White?
So Jacob thinks Joseph's dead, or he's just saying Joseph can't get to his other son?
Yeah, Jacob thinks Joseph is dead, because
Didn't they
what
just-
happened was they actually
lied.
the brothers lied, and yeah, and so they made him believe this.
I remember this. This is where I left off, and they told a lie.
And then they showing up with Joseph saying, "We're honest men." You see, now you start to kind of feel
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But can they just come back and who they say they were taking them to? Oh, who they tell them they're taking the other brother to? And can they just say, "Hey, we lied"? Oh no, I don't understand what's going on.
That's the whole point. Is to keep them from lying. The whole purpose of setting this up is to verify everything that they're saying.
Not for Joseph, but for Jacob.
For Joseph.
Yeah.
It's for Joseph's sake. Yeah.
But I'm trying to get Jacob's position in this. Like, how come they can't just tell him the truth?
What do you mean?
Why can't the brothers tell father Jacob, like, "Hey, we lied a few years ago back, and we sold them"? Why
Man,
can't they
I
just
swear
come clean?
you be acting brand new, man.
I missed
they
a
are
week
not
or
about-
two.
No, I'm talking about man. These are just human beings, man. They also believe, even though they sold him into slavery, they believe that he died. They don't think he survived, because they said it to him. They said one is dead.
Who do you think they was just talking to?
They didn't know that was Jake. They didn't know that was Joseph. They had no idea that was Joseph. He was a
Oh.
boy when they sold him. Now he's like 40
Oh.
years old.
He's fully aware who they are.
Yes.
They have no clue. What kind of? They were some terrible brothers anyway. They don't recognize them. Like, I think that is him. They don't
No,
even
they don't
remember.
know.
Like, they don't have a clue.
Yeah.
They're some terrible brothers anyway. All right.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. So and then of course, anytime we run across scripture when it brings up Sheol, or the realm of the dead, I can't help but look at a couple of different scriptures that talks about this. For one, we're going to take a look at the notice the direction that he's talking about it. Sheol is somewhere down. We had a whole discussion about this in the Bible topics a few weeks back, but the direction of it is down. It's somewhere in the earth. So he says, bring my gray hairs down to Sheol, this realm of the dead in sorrow. So it's the realm of the dead. It's the underworld is another translation for it. So we're going to look at a couple of different for one, let's look at the direction. Next scripture, Mary Berry. So Numbers chapter 16 verses 30 through 33 says, "But if the Lord brings about something unprecedented, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them along with all that belongs to them, so that they go down alive into Sheol, then you will know that these men have despised the Lord." Just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground beneath them split open. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, all Korah's people, and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol with all that belonged to them. The earth closed over them, and they vanished from the assembly. So a lot's happening here. This is Korah's rebellion. He's rebelling, and Moses says, if this happens, then you know that you are wrong in this. And so sure enough, it happens. It says the earth opens up, and they fall while they are alive into the realm of the dead. And so again, showing us a location. It's somewhere. The realm of the dead is somewhere in the earth. They go in it, including their possessions. They all fall down into this area. So we know at least the direction of it. The location is somewhere in the earth. Questions or comments on this so far? All righty. And then let's get to the next one, Mary Berry. And Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 22 says, this is for people that says, before I read it, for those that say that this was just a belief. Sheol the realm of the dead, the underworld, is just a belief that the ancient people had. It's not necessarily something that was true. So Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 22 says, "For fire has been kindled because of my anger and burns to the depths of Sheol. It devours the land and its produce and scorches the foundation of the mountains." So here we have God himself also referencing this place of this realm of the dead, and he says that his anger burns all the way down to that place.